Mr. Speaker, shame, shame, shame on you, David Seymour. Shame on you for what you're trying to do to this nation in introducing this treaty principles bill.
Did the youngest MP in New Zealand, Hannah Rafiti Maipi Clark, disrupt the parliament? Yeah, but she did it for good reason. They were going to vote on a very controversial bill, the 184-year-old Indigenous Treaty Bill between the British Crown and the Maori people. This bill was going to change the Treaty of Waitangi. It was going to rewrite it and reinterpret it. This is a bill that even the Prime Minister said it was going to be divisive. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. So what did the youngest standing MP do? She ripped up a copy of that bill and led a gut-wrenching HaKa. Members of her party and other members in the parliament joined in. If you didn't cry watching that moment, you have no heart. It wasn't about tradition. It was a call to action. Leadership should embody energy, passion, and deep connection with the people. This might be a little controversial to some of you, but now more than ever, our administration needs to channel that kind of energy and spirit. We need boldness in addressing the challenges facing our country. It's time for our leaders to rise up and show us that same fire. We deserve that same kind of commitment from those in power. Hannah Rafiti Maipi Clark said, "Why do we have to beat to their drum?"
Hi family, welcome to my channel. In case you are learning on it for the very first time, hi, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. In case you find the kind of content that I do being kind of the content that you love enjoying, please do consider subscribing so that we can grow up together as a family. I know I am not the most entertaining person or the most funny person or the most eloquent person on here, but as someone who is a new YouTuber, obviously I am looking at having my own family. So if you are really interested in the kind of content that I'm doing, please do consider subscribing so that you don't miss out anything that I'll be uploading. So in today's video, depending on the previous video that we have just watched, that is the New Zealand Parliament. The MPs, they are disagreeing with it. And because of that, this is what we are going to look at.
Our ancestors are still here. They're still with us. They're moving through us. They never left us. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, how did y'all do it? Because they loved the future generations enough to continue. They loved us, y'all. They loved us enough to fight for us. And to see them show up again in that way is beautiful for them. It's beautiful. And the ancestors are going to show up for us, you guys. Believe that. They already are. They're here.
I have some theories about why Black people are so connected to the Maori and emotional intelligence and just the way that we're responding to these videos. One, I think that we are the most oppressed group of people in the world. Black women do not catch a break. The only other culture that I think relates in a similar way is Native Americans. Pushed out of their lands. Culture tried to whitewash it, tried to get rid of the beauty and the essence of what makes America. Then we have Black culture, and one of the things that I think we forget about is how tribal we are because of our own history in African roots. So we are African. Our people are just as tribal as the Maori. We just don't get to participate in that because it's considered witchcraft in the black church. White people used to fear the power that we garnered from our ancestors. And so it makes sense that church would then depict that as a negative thing. But the mana in both Maori people and Polynesian culture is absolutely beautiful. And I think it connects with the history of our ancestors.
I will never forget when New Zealand stood with African Americans in 2020.
We are actually looking at the hypocrisy of colonial rule, because the New Zealand people, they have been colonized by the Britain for the longest, just as here in Africa most countries have been literally colonized by the Britain. But we look at now the MPs in the parliament, they were actually passing out a certain bill whereby it was actually oppressing the people in the New Zealand, and obviously they were furious and they did not agree with it. Therefore they had to suspend the parliament. We look at this young girl who comes out, actually acts. She acts on this bill, because after this wicked man over here coming out and saying, what do you actually think about this bill, she got all the paper. She was like, hell no. And what did she do? She started singing this I'm calling it a wake-up call. It is called the HaKa song. I'm calling it the wake-up call. It is a song for live or die. It is a song for live or die, and obviously it is a spiritual song. That is why most Americans, black Americans, actually being connected to this very song, and most of them, you see them crying and saying, me, after watching this video, I feel like I'm so much connected. As blacks, we are spiritually connected because we have been through the same pain for the longest. And as an African, when we go back to the traditions and norm of Africans on how we do different ceremonies, this is the same way we communicate. We just sing a certain song to connect spiritually. That is why when we go back to the African traditions, we see that most of the time whenever we would want to communicate with a society, they would blow the horn. And every time that sound comes out, it alerts everyone in the community that there is actually something that is happening. It is now to prepare your guns. It is time to prepare yourself. We are going for a battle. We are going for a war. So most of the Africans, after hearing Anna singing that song, it is kind of a call that, hey, now it is actually time to fight. It is time to fight for what belongs to us. We are connected because we are seeking for freedom. We see that the New Zealand people have been through brutality. They have been through colonial rule for the longest, and feel like they feel like they don't have the freedom that they deserve as the original people of this country. So therefore they feel like they need the freedom back. They are tired of these bills that are being brought by these white people and their hypocrisy. They are so tired of it. In this video, what do you think about it when you watch this video? Because it has been trending all over TikTok, but obviously as someone maybe who is not on TikTok, after watching this video, what do you think about it? Please put it down in the commentary and let us meet again. Love you all.